Hello and welcome to the video where you're going to learn how to draw your name using 1 point perspective. You will see I've got a range of materials here. These are things that you will need for this task. So importantly, you'll need a ruler and a pencil. You probably want to have an eraser with you as well, just in case you need to erase some marks, which I will need to do later. And you'll need some colouring materials. I've got markers here, but that could be anything for you. It doesn't have to be markers. Markers just show up quite well on the video so that you can see what I'm doing, which is why I use them. So first of all, you will need a sheet of paper. This is just an A4 copier sheet of paper. Any paper will be suitable for this task. The first thing that you're going to do is somewhere near the top of your page is you're just going to mark a little X in pencil. You can do this quite lightly. I've pressed a little bit harder just so that you can see on the video, but you should press quite lightly because we will erase that later. The next thing that you're going to do is you're going to write your name. So I've chosen to have my paper landscape instead of portrait, because then you've got more room to fit your letters in. My name's quite long, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to write the word art to demonstrate for this video. So this up here is going to be what we know as a vanishing point. So I'll put VP there so you can remember that. The vanishing point up here is where all the lines of all of my letters are going to disappear into. So that means that my letters of my name need to be down at this bottom part of the paper. So draw your letters of your name out onto your sheet of paper. As I said before, I'm just going to write the word art to demonstrate for this task. And I found that if this is your first time doing 1 point perspective, it works quite well if you have not bubble writing, actually quite angular writing, so with these harder edges, and that'll make sense in a moment when we're joining up our edges to the vanishing point. So I'm just going to write the word art for this. Remember, I'm going to do this quite quickly. You should spend a little bit more time on this. I'm going to just put the hole in the A there. It doesn't have to be your name in English. It could be written in a different language if you want to. So now I've got the word that I want to use, or your name in this case, down at the bottom here, and my vanishing point above, which is really important. I now want to start connecting the edge of my letters up to the vanishing point using a ruler and a pencil to do this. So I'm going to start over this side and I'm going to go from the corner of the A, and this is why you will see I mentioned that having more angular letters helps you with this task. I'm then going to move along in a sort of logical fashion so that I've got all the lines going in the same direction. So I'm going to start with the top here, and then I'm going to talk to you about the bottom. So we're going to move from one side of the page to the other. If you prefer to do it this side, the other direction, then that is entirely up to you. The R is a little bit trickier because obviously it's got a curve on it, but still, if I just go to the very edge of where the R is, so that would be here in this instance, always going to the vanishing point, using your pencil, pressing really lightly, please, because you will rub these lines out afterwards. I'm going to do the top of the T, and I'm just going to catch this bottom part of the T as well whilst I'm here. Hopefully you can see that line as I move across. Now I've got this edge of the T, always lining it up with the vanishing point. That's really important. Okay, so all those lines going in at the top there. Now we need to deal with these lines at the bottom. So if we start with the A again, or you could start with the T, it's up to you. Start from the bottom corner of your letter up to the vanishing point. Now this time, we don't want to draw a line all the way through our letter. That doesn't make any sense to bother doing that. So we're just going to pop in the line up to where the letter starts for this second slope of the A. As long as you've got it lined up with the vanishing point, there is no need to draw your line all the way through, because all we would be doing is drawing it through where the letter is. So let's pop this bottom part of the A in here. So vanishing point, lined it up, always lining it up. We now want to draw a line straight up here, but stop as soon as it hits a letter, because we don't want to drive through our letter. So you can see the edge of the R here. So we only need to actually draw in that part of this line. When I move away my ruler, you can see that those two lines now, or both going into the vanishing point, have stopped where it starts to hit and interfere with another letter. So let's have a look at how that's going to work here. This R is going to be quite tricky at the edge here. It might even nearly be vertical. Line up with your vanishing point, go to the corner of the edge of your letter, and then stop before you start drawing through. I've not decided to do a hole in my R. I don't want a hole in the R on this one. Next, I'm going to go from this corner here. So vanishing point again, edge of your letter, have a look to see where it's going to interfere with the rest of this R shape, and then decide where you need to stop, which in this case is right here. Obviously, as your name and letters vary, you will need to make these decisions for yourself. But once you get your top row in, or your top vanishing lines in, you will be able to identify when you need to stop more easily. So vanishing point, edge of the T. This time, actually, the T, it doesn't interfere with anything. So actually, we can go all the way. If I just pop this corner edge in here, you will see, so let's make it a little bit brighter for you. You can see that those two lines don't interfere with each other, so they can stay. And that's all of your vanishing point lines in place now. Now you've got the opportunity to do one of two things. The first is that you can leave them all going to the vanishing point, and you can tidy up that vanishing point so that it looks a little bit less like a cross and with the VP in there, and you can start to shade in your letters. Or you can do what I'm going to do now, which is show you how to make these 3D letters instead, so it doesn't go all the way to the vanishing point, that it actually ends about here. So if you want to do the vanishing point letters and leave them going into the distance, into the infinity of the distance there, then you're very welcome. And you can stop this video now and you can start to have a go at your own designs. But if you would like to then carry on and watching the video just to see how you can block these off and make them 3D letters that go into the vanishing point, then carry on watching. So what we're going to do next is to block off these letters. And this time what we need to do is wherever you see a line of your letter, you need to make a line parallel to it. So parallel is when it's the same distance all the way along. So for this instance here, this is a horizontal line. In order to make it parallel, I need to make another horizontal line and section it off here, somewhere here, so that I know that that's the edge of that letter. So let's have a go at doing that. Now you can use your ruler for this if you want to, if that will help keep your lines parallel to each other, or you can do it freehand if you want to. So I'll do both for you so that you can see, because that will need to be freehand. This one here, I'm going to do freehand. I'm going to decide, okay, I'm going to make my letters stop, I think about there. I'm going to have quite deep letters. And I'm just lightly going to trace that in. Yeah, I'm happy with that. And so that's that line and that line parallel to each other. Now I want to connect this line down to here. This time I will use a ruler for it. So let's line up the side of that A, and I'm going to come up to here, and that looks about right to me, judging it by eye. And then I've got my side of my A in place. Next, I'm going to do the same thing with my R, but this time I can't use a ruler. I'm going to have to use it freehand. So going to make them around about the same width, so I know that at the highest point it's got to come here. So for this one I'm going to try to mimic, represent, copy this curve here of the R. So I'm going to draw it in very, very lightly, and then I can press a bit harder when I'm happy with it. I'm happy with that, so that one's in place there. Just tidy up that line. And for this R here, I would say that it probably finishes around about there. It's nearly the whole length of the R in there. And last but not least, I'm going to do the T. So I'm going to use, again, the same length, the same line, that these are all going along here. It doesn't matter, you can make some thicker and some thinner if you want to, entirely up to you. I'm just showing you one way that you can do this. For this one, I want to make a parallel line next to the T. I'm going to freehand draw that one in because it's quite a short distance. And then for this one, I might use a ruler, so I want it to be kind of parallel with that one. So it's a mixture of freehand drawing and freehand drawing, sorry, and using a ruler. Next, I need to pop a line in here. So looking at the depth that I've created here, I'm going to mark in similar sort of width, and then these two lines need to be parallel with each other. So I'm just going to freehand draw that in, and there I've got my shapes of my letters. The next thing for me to do would be to remove these lines up at the top. So if I just roughly do that for you, you can obviously spend a little bit more time doing this than me. It's very useful if you do make sure that you press really lightly with your pencil, because these are just guidelines. If you're doing this 3D lettering, it's just guidelines up here, so you don't want those to mark your paper, and they will do if you've pressed really firmly with your pencil. So always press really lightly. I'm pressing quite hard because the video won't show up otherwise on the video. And now if I was just to outline these for you freehand, it will probably give you a much better idea of the shapes of the letter that have been created. Remember, you don't have to do it as quickly as I'm doing it here. I'm just going to outline it on the A shape for you so that you can see. We've got the start of our 3D shape, and you can carry that along, all the way along on all of your letters. And then afterwards, you are ready to start decorating this background and your letters inside here. I've just noticed actually I've missed a little bit here. Luckily I can still see my vanishing point. This part here, I should have joined that up to the vanishing point, which is up here. Pop that line in, now you can see. Let's talk about how to colour these. If you want to make them look super 3D, you need to have a light, a medium and a dark section. So a light, a medium and a dark section. What works well with the 3D lettering is if these faces of the letter at the front are the medium colour. So make the faces at the front the medium colour. I'm going to pop an M along there so that we know that that's the medium. If you think about the sunshine up in the sky, make anything that's on the top surfaces, that be your light shade. So your light shade of colour will be up at the top here. And then anything that is below or on an angle underneath, these areas will become your dark areas. Okay, so anything that's right down here to the side, this will all become dark. So anything on the edges, on the side, and sort of underneath here will all become your dark. Everything that is a surface facing upwards is light, and anything facing towards you, like these flat ones here, is medium, and everything else is dark. When you split your design up like that, you will end up with something that looks quite 3D. I can't wait to see your designs. Some of you might decide that you're going to do different types of patterns in the background. Some of you might decide to do a scenery in the background. So for example, maybe you do a woodland scenery and then this says tree along it. That could be one option. There's lots of different things you could do. It's quite nice when you do your name. And then you could even start to decorate inside your name with things that interest you. So if you're quite into sports, you could have a football inside your letter as decoration, or it could be some patterns or the colours that you like. Try to make this name represent you visually as well. So it not just says your name, it also represents things about you that you enjoy. I hope you have fun, and I can't wait to see what you come up with.